Even the ordinary days are holy. What the move, the herd, and the sink at Lavender Hill are teaching me about rest. I have a complicated relationship with Sundays, even more since Sheba's death, the last sprint in the home stretch of arriving at the new farm. As a kid, Sundays were hours of sermons and sitting, scribbling stories in tiny script on the back of offering envelopes to pass the time. Sundays were always followed by Mondays at a small private school filled with sermons and sitting, scribbling stories in the margins of notebooks to pass the time. Sundays have always filled me with existential dread, pondering the length of eternity, visiting nursing homes, learning how to drive. A friend connected to me in so many ways since childhood stopped by the old farm before we moved. She visited with my father in his hospital bed and thanked him for all the lunches at steakhouses he paid for on Sundays back in the day. She told him she wouldn't have been able to eat nice things without his gifts. Those lunches always felt like torture to me. For her, they felt very differently. Maybe it was standing in the doorway listening to her talk to my father that started me reconsidering Sundays. My work revolves around patterns and helping people see their designs so they can change the script in their lives. I'm also a creature of habit. All the things I used to do on certain days have changed color like an eclipse in this newly transplanted farm. Day and night switched places for me when I learned we had to move. So Sunday snuck up on me this past weekend. I'd organized the medicine area of the barn, complete with labels. I was mesmerized by a corner sink in the wash rack. Sitting at the desk adjacent to the shelves and cabinets, I marveled at how many people washed their hands. You know someone, but you don't really know someone until the scenery changes. Equipped with a bona fide sink and a little pump of soap, I too washed my hands. At the old barn, we had to bend over a spigot, the hose dripping too much or too little, after searching the aisles for the one dusty, congealed bottle of Dawn. With all the effort involved, hand washing was reserved for the removal of caustic chemicals and body fluids, ours and theirs. Sitting at the desk, I began to notice other things too. The way some people sidestep away from chickens, now roaming free range through the barn, and how others seek them out. I noticed who was afraid to make eye contact, not wanting to be a bother, and those who talked over anything happening, afraid of not being seen. Stories from the ground up, where work becomes prayer and the land keeps teaching us how to begin again. Subscribe to Stable Roots for reflections from Lavender Hill on horses, grief, belonging, and the sneaky ways healing takes shape. Free subscribers receive every new essay, and paid subscribers help sustain the herd, the land, and the storytelling that keeps this work alive. A mentor once told me that he parked his truck in a field and watched his herd interact for hours at a time, way before horse gazing was cool. He told me how all he needed to know or understand came from noticing the horses in their natural state. We're all herds in some way, different species coming together. As the calluses I've built in the work to get us to Lavender Hill begin to soften, I'm seeing the humans and the horses through fresh eyes. The horses are allowed to find their own dynamics now, pairing off and forming habits on their own without the constant interference of a stalled routine. The only thing that lives in the barn right now are the chickens. Christopher is building them a small palace from an old coop in the geldings field. Like the horses, the chickens that arrived from a stalled life at the old farm adapted quickly to a life of roaming and foraging. The hens are nearly 9 years old, and the 2 buff Orpingtons follow me around like emotional support chickens, watching my movements and making sure that I'm okay, until I need to round them up into the coop for the evening, and then they hide in the shrubs and wait for me to go away. We have a bounty of acquired silky chickens, roosters from Harriet's sister in Charlotte, hens from Debbie McManus, who made the long drive from Asheville to drop them off. Sitting at the desk, I watch people watch the chickens. I listen to their insights and speculations on why they and we do the things we do. A childhood friend from the old private school of sermons and sitting sponsored Sheba's move in full, and then some, proving that the web of connection is a lifeline, and that our stories don't have to end when our bodies are gone. My beloved friend, Tamar Reno, said goodbye to her big black warhorse, Genevieve. I want to fix it for her. I want to ease her pain. I want to assure her that everything happens for a reason, but I'm so consumed with my own numb hands that are holding grief that I'm no good for comforting anyone right now. Mandy Satterfield, a new acquaintance and deeply generous benefactor to our mission, showed me the shape of respite sessions in this new farm. We worked with Penny, the gray mare still traumatized and battle-scarred from keeping vigil over Sheba on the trailer before help arrived. We stood in the quiet of the old oak tree beneath the arena, the one that looks just like the tree on our logo, and explored our thoughts, the losses and the presents, and the feelings we shove aside to keep on going. A morning session by the pond enchanted me with clouds and light. I stood still with the horses, and I listened. Before I knew it, Sunday rolled around again, but it didn't feel like Sunday because there were so many things to do and people talking, moving, sharing space with the farm and the horses. It didn't feel like Sunday because the people around me kept me from the prison of my thoughts, and I didn't have to escape into stories that I scribbled in the margins. I got to live them. Sunday became the opposite of rest, and that, too, was holy. I received a call today from a man in Tennessee who is involved in commercial transport. He wanted to know where we bought our hay, what kind we had, and if it came from out west. He didn't really know much about farming, but he was an entrepreneur who saw green grass as currency. Guys like me don't care much about preserving farmland, he said. He told me how the dollar was diminishing in value and the only things that mattered were gold and Bitcoin. He argued that costs weren't rising as much as the dollar diminishing, making it look like we were spending more. Horses are entertainment, he said. They don't provide economic value to the general populace. Nothing has changed about the land. The dollar has changed, he said. I told him that I had lived the change in values intimately as we lost our lease and secured a permanent farm that has tripled in value in a decade. Horses are entertainment, he said. This may be the prevailing thought, but my mission is to help people that arrive at my farm look at this luxury in a different way. Horses lead us back into our connection with the land. And as we tune into the details around us, we circle back around, like the days of the week, into a deeper connection with and understanding of ourselves. This knowledge isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Maybe Sundays now are trying to show me that restoration doesn't happen through sermons, but through motion, conversation, soap and water, the clatter of feed scoops, and laughter over a crooked gate. Sundays are the sounds of chickens fussing underfoot and the weight of our combined grief that refuses to be tidied away. The work of tending to horses, to land, to each other doesn't pause because the calendar says so. Sundays have become the rhythm of my real religion, my hands in the dirt, my breath sinking with the herd, with my paying attention. Every creature accounted for is a kind of prayer, not to a distant God, but to the world that is a gift from God that we're trying to keep alive. The man on the phone may call this entertainment, but I call it endurance. The sacred, stubborn act is staying present in a world that would rather you forget what life feels like when it's still tethered to the earth. So I'll keep washing my hands, and I'll keep watching the herds, all of them, and keep showing up for whatever Sunday asks of me next. Because here at Lavender Hill, even the ordinary days are holy ground. Love, Kim. Help us keep this work alive. Every contribution to the Bramblewood GoFundMe helps us honor Sheba's legacy and safeguard the herd's future at Lavender Hill. Your support fuels the daily work, the care, the land, the teaching that keeps this kind of sanctuary possible. Please help us, and please spread the word.